Hey everyone. Oh, I had the most wonderful dream. And in today's episode, I'll be talking to you about the 2006 anime film Paprika, the final feature film from celebrated Japanese filmmaker Satoshi Kon. So for your interest, this is the first film I've actually seen of his. I realize he has such a huge following all over the world. So as a part of this review, I want to be talking a little bit about the filmmaker himself, letting you know why he's such an influence on Japanese anime, just discussing my general thoughts on the first film I've seen of his. Your boy learned a lot about Japanese anime today.
Good job!
So before I get into the video, I just want to thank everyone from the bottom of my heart, all the support and recommendations and feedback that I've received for the current course so far. This is only the beginning. I'm hoping to grow it out exponentially every video, making them better and better and better. So remember to like, subscribe and comment, please. It's my drug. I want it. I need it. But no, thank you so much. So yeah, let's dive into Paprika. So it's directed by Satoshi Kon. If you're a fan of anime, you'll probably recognize the name. Having only 5 feature films and a miniseries to his name, Satoshi Kon has had a huge influence over Japanese anime. He has a following in Japan, but he really struck gold overseas, even in Hollywood with filmmakers such as Christopher Nolan and Darren Aronofsky. I'm not a hardcore anime fan, but nor was Kon actually when he started animating. He grew up with a love and appreciation for animation, and he certainly grew up watching some of the Japanese classics such as Spaceship, Battleship, Yamamoto, and Mobile Suit Gundam. But his influences definitely, as he got older, drew more from American and other foreign cinema. He produced a few mangas as well, including being an assistant on the original manga Akira. But his influences as he got older started to direct more American and foreign influences than his Japanese contemporaries. He was a huge fan of Philip K. Dick, really loved George Roy Hill's adaptation of Slaughterhouse-Five, as well as being a huge fan of Terry Gilliam's work. Can relate. He did have a love for Japanese artists, however, especially being a fan of Japanese filmmaker Akira Kurosawa. You know, that small underground Japanese filmmaker that no film buff ever talks about. And science fiction author Yasutaka Tsuisui. The latter artist obviously had a huge influence on him. As he finished his debut film, he wanted to adapt his 1993 novel Paprika. He wouldn't realize this vision until more than a decade later, however, mostly due to the difficulties of adapting the novel into a screenplay and the technical and budget restrictions from the frame counting of a 92-minute feature film. Also, the distribution company for Perfect Blue went bankrupt, so it was clear that this was a passion project of his he was wanting to get off the ground for a while. Well, after the success of the miniseries Paranoia Agent, he got his wish and made Paprika. It became Kon's biggest and most successful film. Funny, especially when it's often the first film fans of Kon start off with. I suppose it's wonderful to know that his work would be beloved by people around the globe before his fun years became shattered by the diagnosis of his terminal pancreatic cancer. He was working on one final feature film, but would not see its completion, with his cancer eventually taking his life in 2010 at the age of 46. Despite the tragic circumstances, Kon has only grown in popularity, and his work has certainly left an impact on artists around the globe. It's about right that I delve into Kon through Paprika. A brilliant scientist has broken the fabric of reality itself by designing Dreamshare technology. The DC Mini, as it's titled, allows people's dreams to be accessed. Here people are allowed to watch their dreams, create alter egos, and live fantastical lives, and escape into their own heads. Like any grand scientific discovery made with great intentions, however, it becomes weaponized and is stolen by a rogue agent that attempts to hack into people's minds and break the barriers between the dream world and the real world. Sent in to investigate are detectives Kanakawa and Paprika. The escalating mass of intersecting dreams becomes very real, and in the hands of this agent, the dangers of the dream world affecting the real world become all too real. So if you have seen the film and you're still trying to wrap your head around the convoluted storyline, don't fret. A huge part of this film is the intentional confusion when it comes to the link between the dream world and reality. And using the medium of animation to tell this story is a marriage made in heaven. All those who complained about the lack of imagination in films exploring dreams, such as Inception, which I secretly disagree with, won't really have a problem here. There's plenty of visual splendor to chew on here. Clear to me, Kon wanted to have as much fun with this concept as possible. Within the first 5 minutes, the audience is thrown into a chaotic series of events, the intercutting of two time periods without using traditional transitions, and using more experimental means with match cuts and sudden cuts. I hear this is actually quite a common film technique with Kon actually. This isn't something that's just based within Paprika. There's word to use this in his films in order to cut the budget costs of animation, fitting in more story within the tight time limit and frame count. Which firstly, that's a genius way to hide budget limitations. And to his credit, it works extremely well in Paprika. I don't know how annoying this would be in his more serious works, but it works really well in the more playful, creative sandpit of the dreams. For example, he follows up this opening with a hilarious opening title sequence, which introduces the character of Paprika, who bends space and time to her will. Yeah, it's a bit cheesy, but that tune, you'll be whistling it for days. In general, the film is stunning to look at. Such bright colours, so many over-the-top moments that I don't want to spoil too much for people who haven't seen the film. And yeah, it's really a testament to the anime style. It really gives life to these visuals. But what does it all really come down to? Well, this is generally what I got out of it. It's definitely a surrealist piece of work. It's really dependent on the illogical imagery of the film. Don't be surprised when you see a parade of inanimate objects such as a refrigerator and a mailbox marching down the road. And yes, this is what dreams are. They are illogical. They're sometimes intense and stretch the fabric of the unconscious mind. That being said, this sort of takes over the film and pushes ahead the absurdity and faults with the actual story. I think even fans of the film will agree the story is not hugely rewarding. Breaking down the characters, the personal story arcs, and the overall dream-spanning storyline, there are some huge problems that appear. I really do like Detective Kanekawa and his whole investigation into the murder, but I feel like the character of Paprika leaves a lot to be desired. Her appeal slowly wears thin through the film, and she feels rather undeveloped and not as engaging a character. In fact, characters that could provide some needed colour to the film, such as Tokita, the scientist who created the DC Mini, and Dr. Shima, are sort of pushed to the side and are never really properly developed. They're almost nuisances to the storyline when there's genuine development that they could go through. Especially Tokito, who is utilised to a very disappointing, incredibly undercooked resolution. Nothing that really breaks my overall enjoyment of the film. I'm just saying that the imagery of the film, I think, is the overall point of this film. I don't think it's a film based on a deep, meaningful story. I thought maybe this might be just my confusion at the story, but no, I do feel Paprika is best enjoyed if you see it as a purely visual feast. So overall, Paprika, I think, is definitely the film Satoshi Kon had always wanted to make. It's unrelenting in its style. Its expression of the dream world is pretty awesome to look at. I just felt a little bit empty by the story that it was telling. I will say though, as an introduction to Kon's work, it is an interesting piece of work. And has made me interested and curious about his other films, which I've heard take a more serious route. This is definitely what I've heard is his most approachable film. So no, overall, I liked Paprika. It's not an amazing film, but it's got some great moments in it. And the imagery itself, I think, is worth checking out. And whether I think Inception was a rip-off of this, so those are my general thoughts on Paprika. I liked it. It's not amazing though. So I hope you enjoyed the review. It's definitely made me want to pursue watching Perfect Blue and the miniseries Paranoia Agent. And yeah, give me your opinion on what you thought of Paprika yourself if you've seen it. In the meantime, hope you guys enjoyed the review, and I will see you for the next episode. Now, I'm gonna go back to sleep.